and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
And today we're talking about Beyond the North Woods. How are you, Rewinders? What have you been up to?
What have you been up to?
You were about to say not much.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, she's not talking about me. Although I consider myself a rewinder.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, what we've been up to is we attended the North by North International Film Festival, and we saw a bunch of horror movies, and the one that we're talking about today is a film that was shot locally here in Duluth, Minnesota, and across the bridge in Superior, Wisconsin, called Beyond the North Woods, and it is a found footage movie by a local filmmaker.
Yeah, I think that obviously since I grew up here in Duluth, one of my favorite aspects of this film is the beautiful Duluth shots. Duluth is so beautiful, and so it just sort of lends itself to wonderful, aesthetic, gorgeous shots, especially before things get scary and we get to just see this like ship going by, the harbor. It's really gorgeous. So I like that aspect of it, but I might be biased.
No, I know. Believe me, anything shot in Minnesota, but especially Duluth, we definitely get to be biased. Now, I am not going to pronounce people's last names correctly, probably. So I will just say the writer, star, editor, director. His name is Lance, and Lance, I'm going to figure out how to pronounce your last name correctly, but it was through a Minnesota State Arts Grant, which is an amazing program that we have here in the state of Minnesota, where artists can get grants to help fund their various projects, whether they be film or other visual arts. It's something that maybe happens all over, but I'm really thankful that we have it here in Minnesota.
Yeah, I hope that maybe this inspires people to see what's going on in their own state. As far as, you can literally get money from the state to make a horror film.
Yeah.
So why not give it a shot?
So this film was shot on an iPhone 13. And we're not going to get into spoilers because we want you to go and see this however you are able. But it is sort of a found footage, and it's shot kind of like an influencer or a YouTuber has a crew, and they're shooting their fictional show about some disappearances here in Duluth, Minnesota. Now, as I said, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but you can imagine things possibly might go awry.
No. There's lots of, creepy woods, night shots, and I like how the YouTube guy is kind of can I say dick?
Yeah, I think so.
It's so funny because how long have I been on this podcast? But I was like, can I swear? I think it's because we've been doing a lot of interviews lately, and so I'm holding myself back. But yeah, he's a real dickhead, and
the character.
So that's kind of fun because obviously it's enjoyable to watch bad things happen to bad people, right?
Well, yeah, and I think too, as we've talked about in fiction writing and screenplay writing, it's more interesting to have characters that aren't 100% likable.
Yeah, and the female characters are likable, and so they kind of they help us through, because if it was just him, I would probably be like, oh my god. But thankfully we have some females there that are nice, and we're worried about them, especially once he goes missing in the woods.
So something that I really enjoyed about watching this movie is that they took their time, and a lot of long takes, and a couple of my favorite long takes in history. Of course, Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, which we wrote about in
Science of Serial Killers.
Yeah, Science of Serial Killers. I was like, when did that come out? I don't even know what day it is.
I know. Which book was that?
And then also, there's this brilliant Bruce Campbell film called Running Time, and they also use long takes. But unlike Hitchcock, who let the film run out until it ran out, and then they'd put on a new reel, Running Time used clever edits to make it seem like it was all done in one take. And then, of course, one of our favorite X-Files episodes called Triangle, when they're flipping back and forth in the Bermuda Triangle between time eras.
It's so good. Like Scully's hair in that
Oh,
episode.
my God.
And
And their first kiss, but not
their
really.
first kind of kiss. And then he wakes up and it's very, like, Wizard of Oz. And it's so sweet.
So, yes, I have a lot of affection for a long take. And so I appreciated the long takes in this, especially I don't think this is a spoiler. I'm not giving it away that we get to see sort of this nice fall foliage, and then pretty soon it seems like the dead of winter, which we had a major snowstorm in April.
Yeah, so that's completely realistic, actually. That's the most realistic thing.
Now, now we're speaking of found footage films. What would you say is your most recent favorite found footage film? And then also, before I forget, I need to mention that we need to talk about this George Romero found footage.
Oh, yes. I would say that Host is probably my most recent favorite found footage movie. That came out, obviously, like, sort of in the height of the pandemic, and it was just so scary and good, and it was only an hour long, and it just would, like, pack such a punch. So I'd have to say that one. I also really like, obviously, I mean, I like all the classics, like Blair Witch and Hell House LLC is really scary.
Yeah. And Creep 2.
Yes, yeah. It's obviously, I haven't seen found footage, like, for a lot of other genres.
That's true.
I feel like it's very much a horror genre. Because, I mean, it would be kind of cute to see, like, a found footage romance or something.
Oh, my God. Maybe we need to write one.
Oh, my God!
No, I agree with the ones that you mentioned. And also, friends, if you're listening and there is a found footage movie that's not horror, tell us. Something that this movie... Wait, I will go back to George Romero. But I was going to say something that this movie reminded me of was Anish Chaganty's Searching. Because he very cleverly wrote the script to entirely be shown on devices. And something that happened in that movie, now maybe I'm getting a little into a spoiler, is that they live streamed a funeral in it. And that seemed so beyond.
That was kind of like,
but
strange.
Guess what? It happens every day now.
Yeah.
People are live streaming funerals. And so it was just enough ahead of its time where it's like completely believable. And also that movie, if you haven't seen Searching, starring John Cho,
it's so good.
Go see it. It's amazing.
I guess that one isn't. It's
more thriller
adjacent.
Yeah.
So I guess that one could maybe you could say, but okay. So should we talk about Jacaranda Joe?
Yeah.
I can't say it.
So yeah, it's this found footage style movie that George Romero shot in 1994, and the way that it's found footagey is it's in sort of a talk show, like think Phil Donahue, Sally, Jesse Raphael. Am I dating myself?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I mean, those were 90s.
No, it made me think of Night Shift. Do you remember that? It was like a parody of those. Do you remember that show?
No.
Okay. I'll have to show you.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, no, it totally is a found footage. It's kind of a proof of concept, so it's only about 17 minutes?
Yeah.
George Romero was hopefully going to be turning it into a whole film, but it just didn't happen, which I think, learning about sort of the process, and even George Romero, who's this, like, legend, had these sort of issues with filmmaking insofar as, like, funding, getting producers on board and things like that. So it's kind of interesting, the background of it. And so I'm so glad that the George Romero Foundation showed this and we got to watch it.
Yeah, it's through the University of Pittsburgh, friends. And especially if you're, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, George Romero fans in general, you need to check out all of the amazing things that they're doing. And they have a museum there, like physical stuff that you can look at. I assume everything's open now, post-pandemic. Or we're still in it, but you know what I mean. But excuse me, check out that organization because they're doing good things.
Yeah, make sure that you get on like their newsletter because they'll have events like that. There was the event last year where they showed the amusement park.
That was so good.
Yeah, that was so good. And for me, like, I like the actual, like, the film itself is obviously amazing to watch in both these cases. Jacaranda Joe was, like, kind of a Bigfoot cryptid sort of thing. But I really like the sort of talking about Romero, talking about filmmaking process, etc. because I'm a nerd like that. But these are free things that you can watch online from wherever, and so totally get on their newsletter so you're up to date on the events.
And that amusement park one, they had an amazing talk back with author Tananarive Dew and Fangoria editor Phil Nobile Jr. And so, just fellow horror fans, experts in their field. We love to hear it. We love to see it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like that sort of academic take on these things, and George Romero's legacy. It's just really, really cool. So yeah, check that out. I don't know where you're going to be able to watch Jacaranda Joe now, but it was pretty cool. It felt like this sort of authentic talk show, so I liked it.
Now, also, speaking of George Romero, we have to plug this because if you haven't seen Season of the Witch, we write about it in our upcoming book, The Science of Witchcraft, which is coming out now September 6th. We heard from our publisher, hey, we're going to get it out a month earlier so you can get it in the hands of people. And we were so excited.
I know. We're really excited about this because obviously, October's kind of become our month where things come out. But now we have a whole month head start. We want to celebrate Halloween early. I mean, we celebrate it all year, but we get to celebrate it extra early now with The Science of Witchcraft. And yeah, Season of the Witch is kind of a lesser known, I think, George Romero film. So check that one out. I think it's on Shudder still.
Okay, awesome. Well, this is also a plug for your local indie filmmakers and film festivals. Support them, whether they be horror or not. But this, I think, Beyond the North Woods is a great example of local people coming together to create film in an interesting and new way and highlight, our beautiful area here in Duluth, Minnesota. But look in your backyard, friends. Where do you find beauty and what can you create? What can you support?
Oh, that's so nice. I love it. What a nice sentiment. Oh, I feel like George Romero would agree. I mean, he looked out his, Pennsylvania back door and he was like, look at what if zombies were here?
Yeah.
And look now what we have in the world because of him. So I like this.
And speaking of Pennsylvania, that reminds me that another prolific filmmaker, M. Night Shyamalan, sets everything there.
Yeah.
So, friends, what we're telling you is we're setting everything in Minnesota.
I think so. I mean, Minnesota it has that great horror element. We just like in Beyond the North Woods. I mean, we have that beauty, but then at nighttime things get real.
Yeah. Also, yes, I just think we've talked about it before. Our brand is Minnesota Gothic, and let's support Minnesota horror and all things creepy. Yeah. So congratulations to everyone involved in Beyond the North Woods. They do have a website, so check it out and see where there will be a showing near you, or where and when and how it will be distributed. Until next time, we'll see you in the horror section.
Bye.